The Constitution of India, Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Hello children, today I am going to begin the session by saying that we should deal with each other sensitively. Our attitude towards life affects how we act in our relationship. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So, my dear children, we must be sensitive with our words and action. By saying this, I move on to the next session where we will be now studying 4 more chapters in part 2 biology. The 5th chapter is soldiers of defense. 6th chapter deals with unraveling genetic mysteries. 7th chapter genetics of the future, and the 8th chapter is the paths traversed by life. So, my dear children, these are the 4 chapters which we are going to study in part 2 biology. Today I am going to deal with chapter 5, that is soldiers of defense. So, in this chapter you can see, my dear children, there is a picture. In this picture you can observe people wearing protective masks in places where epidemics spread out. Isn't it, my dear children? Nowadays we are also in the same situation. We all are having protective masks and we are moving out from our house by using this protective mask. Now, what are the uses of wearing mask in such situation? The question is, what are the uses of wearing mask in such situation? The first one, it has been said that it prevents the entry of germs. Isn't it? It prevents the entry of germ. So, what will be the second answer? Surely, it prevents the spreading of infection from an infected person to the another person. It prevents the infection spreading from one person to another person. That's why people are wearing protective masks in the places where epidemics spreading or it spreads out. Now, next one, can such precautions prevent the entry of pathogens into the body to a certain extent? The question is, can such precautions prevent the entry of pathogens into the body to a certain extent? The answer is yes. Doesn't our body have its own natural defense mechanisms to prevent the entry of pathogen? Next question is, doesn't our body have its own natural defense mechanisms to prevent the entry of pathogen? Answer is yes. Our body too is having its own natural defense mechanism so that it will be able to prevent the entry of germs. So, first we should know what is defense, isn't it? My dear children, in your textbook you have to underline defense. Defense is the ability of the body to prevent the entry of pathogens and to destroy those that have already entered the body. So, what is defense? It is the ability of the body. What is the ability of the body? To prevent the entry of pathogens. Already we know that what are pathogens. Pathogens are microorganisms which are causing diseases. So, what the body is doing? It is preventing the entry of pathogens as well as it will be able to destroy it those who have entered the body. That is the defense term called, isn't it? Defense is, it is the ability of the body to prevent the entry of pathogen and to destroy those that have already entered the body. Now, it has been said that our body is well equipped with a varieties of defense mechanism. In our body, there are varieties of defense mechanism through which the body is preventing the entry of germ, as well as if the pathogen has entered, it can destroy the germs. So, for destruction and for preventing, the body itself is having a varieties of defense mechanism. We can see which are those. So, here you can see this is again important. Defense mechanism in our body. Number 1, body coverings and secretions. There are body coverings as well as secretions through which the body is able to defend the entry of pathogen. And what are the body covering and secretions? We can see it is skin, mucous membrane, mucus, saliva, tears, etc. All these are the body covering as well as the secretion. Secretion means tear, isn't it? Tear is one of the secretion, mucus is one of the secretion, saliva is another secretion. Skin as mucous membrane are the body covering. Skin and mucous membrane are the body covering, as well as mucus, saliva, tear, etc. are the secretions which are secreted from the body. Now, the next one is body fluid. We know that blood and lymph are the two body fluids which are present in the body of a person. So, this body fluid is also helping to defend the entry of pathogen as well as to destroy the pathogen. I think you would have understood about the illustration 5.1 defense mechanism. This is important, my dear children, you have to study it. Now, next thing you can see here, it has been given here body covering and secretion, the first part, isn't it? In the case of body covering and secretion, we can see here skin is the protective covering of the body and it is acting as a shield there so that it can prevent the entry of germ. So, what skin is doing there? Skin is protecting the body by becoming a protective covering there, and in that manner what is happening there? It is playing a role of shield, and because of that what is happening there? It is preventing the entry of germs. So, we can analyze the figure 5.1 related to the structure of skin, and here you can see what are the defense mechanism present in the skin. It is again important, my dear children. The first one is epidermis. You can see epidermis, sebaceous gland. There is a gland present in the skin which is producing sebum or which is secreting sebum, and sweat gland, that already we know that in the body there are sweat glands also present. So, in the skin, epidermis, sebaceous gland and sweat gland, these are the three parts present in the skin which is helping to prevent the entry of germs. So, what is the function played by epidermis? We can see epidermis, a protein called keratin present here prevents the entry of germ. So, in the epidermis what is present there? A protein called keratin. Keratin protein is present there in the epidermis layer in the skin, and it is helping to prevent the entry of germ. Now, in the case of sebaceous gland, you can see here sebaceous gland is present here and it produces sebum, isn't it? And it makes the skin oily and waterproof. Sebaceous gland is a gland which is producing sebum, and this sebum is preventing the entry of germ by making the skin oily as well as waterproof. Next one is sweat gland. You can see here this is the sweat gland, and it is the disinfectant, isn't it? Or we can say the disinfectant which is produced there in the sweat destroys the germs. So, the disinfectant is present, the chemical is present there in the sweat which is killing the germs, or we can say which is helping to prevent the entry of germs into the body. So, these are the three parts present in the skin, where we can see how they are able to protect the body from the entry of germs. I think, my dear children, you would have understood about this part. Now, next one is related to, we already said that skin is one of the body covering. Number 2 is the mucous membrane. This is the mucous membrane, and this mucous membrane is also a protective covering. And what it is doing? Pathogens trapped in the mucus produced by this membrane get destroyed. The destroyed germs are expelled out by the cilia cells of the mucous membrane. In the mucous membrane is present where in the body, my dear children? It is there in the nose, in the throat region, isn't it? In body area, many areas it is present there, and there the membrane is having cilia. Cilia is nothing but it is a hair like structures. So, what the cilia is doing? It is expelling out the destroyed germs. And how the germs are destroyed? The pathogens are trapped in the mucus. The mucus is a semi-solid substance which is produced by the mucous membrane, and this mucus will be trapping the pathogen and destroying it. And later on, the cilia, which is a hair-like substance or structure present in the mucous membrane, is helping to expel it out from the body. This is how mucous membrane is protecting the body by preventing the entry of germ or by destroying the germs. Understood? Now, next one you can see here, indicator is there, and in the indicator area you can see skin and defense. How the skin is helping and how it is acting as a defense mechanism. Just now we have seen, isn't it? Epidermis, sebaceous gland, as well as the sweat gland. These are the three parts present in the skin, and these parts, they are playing an important role in protecting the body, and they are acting as a defense mechanism. And related to mucous membrane and defense, how mucous membrane is functioning as a defense membrane there. So, here again we understood just now mucous membrane, what it is doing to protect the body from entry of the germ or destroying the germs. Now, here you can see there are certain other areas through which the body is defending itself from the entry of germs or destroying the germs which have already entered the body. So, here in the case of ear wax is present there. In the case of eye, lysozyme is the enzyme which is present in the tear. In the case of nose, mucus is present there. In the case of mouth, saliva is there which is having lysozyme as the enzyme. Now, in the tracheary part, that is in the respiratory tract, we can see again mucus. In the stomach, we can see HCl. In the intestine, it is again mucus is present there, and in the urine, lysozyme is present there. So, these are, that is lysozyme, mucus, HCl, isn't it? Earwax, all these are the substances which are secreted from different part of the body, which is helping to prevent the entry of germ or protecting the body by destroying the germs, those who have already entered the body. So, this part is again important, my dear children. Now, you can see here, based on the illustration 5.2, you have to complete the table 5.1. Illustration 5.2, you can see here, just now we have understood about it. Now, based on that, you have to complete the table 5.1 in the textbook itself. You can do it. Ear wax, lysozyme in saliva, it is mouth. Eye, lysozyme in the tears, and HCl, it is in the stomach. So, here it comes the ear wax, it is mouth, it is lysozyme in tears, and your stomach. So, this part you have to fill in your textbook itself. This is again important. I think you would have understood about this thing, my dear children. Now, Next one is related to, so that is related to body covering and secretion, isn't it, my dear children? Body covering and secretion, I told you, mucous membrane as well as skin. They are the parts in the body which is acting as a body covering, and they are secreting certain substances which are able to prevent the entry of germs. Now, next one is related to body fluid and defense. In the case of body fluid, we already know that body fluids like blood and lymph plays an important role in the defense mechanism, and how they are able to prevent the entry of germ, we can see they are following different defense methods, such as controlling the entry of germs in the body, neutralizing the germs and toxic substances they produces, preventing their multiplication. These are the ways, that is, the multiplication of germs will be prevented. The germs and the toxic substances which are produced by the pathogen will be neutralized, as well as they are controlling the entry of germs. In this manner, blood and lymph are playing an important role in defending the body against the entry of germs. So, here, so that is related to that. Now, as we have said, blood and lymph are playing an important role there. So, we should know how the blood is playing an important role in the defense mechanism of the body. So, this part is again important, my dear children. You can see here already related to RBC and WBC you would have studied in your 9th standard. So, you may be knowing the structure of WBC very nicely. Now, we have to understand how WBC is playing an important role in defense action. Here you can see this picture, this figure related to WBC, different types of WBCs, they are very, very important. You have to study, as these figures used to come in the question paper and you have to answer what is it, isn't it? What is the name of it? So, you can see here number 1. Neutrophil, this is the neutrophil. You can see here the structure of neutrophil. This is neutrophil, and what is the defense action it is doing? Engulfs bacteria. It is able to engulf the bacteria. It is able to synthesize chemicals that destroys the bacteria. So, it is able to produce certain chemicals through which it is able to destroy the bacteria. This is how the defense action is being done by neutrophil, which is a WBC in our body. Number 2 is basophil. You can see the structure of basophil, it is in the form of a dumbbell shape, isn't it? This is basophil. And what is the defense action it is doing? It stimulates other WBC, dilates blood vessel. Stimulating other WBC means the other WBCs which are present in our body will be getting activated because of basophil, and dilates the blood vessels. The blood vessels which are present there in the body, when the germs enter the body, that time basophil will be getting activated and it will be giving signal to the blood vessels, so that the blood vessels will be getting more wider, so that more blood will be flowing through the blood vessel to the wound site. And when more blood will flow through the blood vessel to the wound site, what will happen? More WBC will be present there, and that WBC will be able to destroy the germs. That is the action done by basophil. Now, the third one is eosinophil. You can see here again the structure of eosinophil, and the defense action done by eosinophil is synthesizes chemicals that destroy foreign bodies. It will be synthesizing certain chemicals which is destroying the foreign bodies. And what do you mean by foreign bodies, my dear children? It is nothing but the germs or the dust which is entering the body of a person. Also, synthesize chemicals required for the inflammatory responses. There are certain chemicals will be synthesized by eosinophil which will be needed for inflammatory responses. For example, if you are having certain allergy with the dust is a foreign body, and because of the dust, when we are having allergy, what will happen? That area will become reddish in color. Sometimes it swells up also. This becoming reddish in color and getting swells up is inflammatory response. So, for the inflammatory response, for the production of inflammatory response, eosinophil is synthesizing certain chemicals. Okay. In this manner, the body is able to defend the entry of germs. Now, next one is monocyte. You can see the structure of monocyte here. This is monocyte, and here again the defense action done by monocyte is engulfs and destroys the germs. It is able to engulf the germ and it will be able to destroy it. That much powerful is monocyte. And the last but not the least is lymphocyte. You can see the structure of lymphocyte, isn't it? And they identifies and destroy the germs specifically. They are having the capacity to identify which is the germ, what is its features or what are the characteristic features of that germ, and based on that feature lymphocytes are able to destroy them. That is the specific feature of lymphocyte, which is not seen in other WBC. That is why it has been said that it is destroying the germs specifically. So, this is important, my dear children. This part is very important. Illustration 5.3 related to WBC and defense action is very important. You have to study it. You have to learn it. I think you would have understood about the defense action of WBC. Okay. Now, we will be going to familiarize with the different strategies of defense. Different strategies of defense means different methods are there which is able to used or which are used by the body for defending the entry of germ or for destroying the germs which are already entered the body. So, the first method is inflammatory response. Already I told you what is inflammatory response. Inflammatory response, see my dear children, whenever we are having a wound, after sometimes what will happen? After few minutes that area will be becoming reddish and swelling is taking place there, isn't it? That shows inflammatory response. Haven't you noticed that when a wound occurs, that part swells up? This is called inflammatory response. Now, there is an illustration 5.4 related to inflammatory response. How it is taking place in the body, we can see, we can analyze this illustration 5.4, which is telling us about the inflammatory response. So, here you can see this is the skin, isn't it? And when the skin is being wounded, when the skin is being cut or when it is being wounded, that time what happens? The upper part will be getting opened up and the epidermis, it will be breaking there. Now, when the epidermis breaks, germs enter through wound, isn't it? So, through that open area or through the cut area, what happens? The germs such as bacteria, virus, fungus or whatever it may be, microorganism will be entering into the body, inside the body. That time chemicals are produced. When this germ enters the body, when it reaches inside the body, in the skin, what happens? It produces the chemical. Now, when it produces the chemical, that time what happens? Because of the production of chemical by the germ, surely a chemical will be produced there in the body also, isn't it? And the body is giving a signal to the WBC that foreign body has entered into it. So, that time what happens? Blood capillaries dilates. You can see the width of the blood capillary. Here it is narrow and here it is little bit wider. So, this is the way how the blood capillary dilates, that is it is getting more wider. Now, when it gets more wider, what happens? WBC cells reaches the wound site through the cells of the capillaries. So, more blood will be flowing through it and WBC will be reaching more to the wound site. And later on what happens? Neutrophils and monocytes engulfs and destroy the germs. So, WBC such as neutrophil and monocytes which are present there, they will be engulfing and destroying the germs. You can see these are the germs and these are the bluish color you can see, these are the WBC such as neutrophil and monocyte. What they are doing, the germs, it will be trapped by neutrophil and monocyte, and after trapping these germs, these WBC, they will be destroying it. In this manner, through inflammatory response, what is happening there? Destruction of germs are taking place there. That's why inflammatory response is said as the one of the defense mechanism, or it is said as one of the method for protecting the body from entry of germs or destroying the germs which have already entered. So, I think my dear children, you would have understood about illustration 5.4. This illustration is very, very important. You have to study it. It used to come in the question paper. Based on that illustration, you can see here. I have already given here 1, 2, 3 and 4. The process through which inflammatory response is taking place. The first one, it has been said, the cells that get damaged by wound or by an infection produces certain chemicals. Already I told you here, isn't it? Chemicals are produced. So, when the germs are producing chemical, that time itself, what is happening there? The cells which are present there, they are producing a chemical substance. Number 2, these substances dilate the capillaries. Here, what is happening? The blood capillaries are dilated, thereby increasing the blood flow. So, the blood is flowing through this blood capillaries very fastly, and more in number, WBC will be moving through this blood capillary. The third one, blood plasma and more WBC reaches the wound site. Later on, what happens? When the blood capillary widen, surely more number of WBC will be flowing through this capillary towards the wound site. Now, the fourth one, this is the reason as the blood capillary has widened. So, what will happen? Surely when it will be becoming widened, so it will be giving pressure on the epidermis of the skin, and there we will be finding what? We will be finding a swelling, a reddish color, isn't it? That is, it has been said, this is the reason for the swelling of wound site. What is the reason? Blood plasma and more WBC reaches the wound site because the dilation of capillaries, isn't it? And thus this defense mechanism is known as inflammatory response. So, my dear children, this is very, very important. You have to study it as it used to come in the question paper. Now, indicator related to it. The advantages of dilation of capillaries at the wound site. What is the advantage of the dilation of capillary at the wound site? Just now we have said, isn't it? As the blood capillaries are dilating, what is happening there? Thereby increasing the blood vessel. That is the advantage, isn't it? As the blood capillaries are dilating, more number of WBC will be reaching to the wound site. Now, the role of WBC in the inflammatory response. What is the role of WBC in the inflammatory response? WBC such as neutrophil as well as monocyte, when they reach the wound site, they will be trapping the germs and they will be destroying the germs. That is the role of WBC, and because of that, what happens? As the capillaries are dilating, there will be increasing in the blood flow, and in the blood, what is present there? WBC is present there, and they will be able to destroy the germs. So, during this process, what happens? There will be swelling taking place as well as reddishness will be taking place in the wound site. That is the relationship between WBC and inflammatory response. What is inflammatory response and defense? This is the answer you have to write there, isn't it? Inflammatory response and defense. How inflammatory response is connected to defense? This is the answer you have to write there just now, which I have explained to you. So, that is about the indicator related to the inflammatory response. So, my dear children, you would have understood how the germs at wound site are engulfed and are destroyed by the WBC, isn't it? We can see how the process is taking place in the defense mechanism. the process. Already I told you that monocyte and neutrophil, they are reaching to the wound site and they are trapping the germs and they are killing it. Now we should know what is the process through which they are able to do this activity. The process is called phagocytosis, which is very important. You can see here I have already highlighted about phagocytosis. It is a process of engulfing and destroying germs. The cells that are engaged in this process are called phagocytes. Phago means to engulf, cytes means cell, isn't it? WBC, namely monocytes and neutrophils, are phagocytes. So what is phagocytosis? It is the process of engulfing and destroying the germs. That process is called phagocytosis. And what are phagocytes? Which are able to destroy the germs. That is, WBC, which are able to destroy the germs, are phagocytes. Here it is been said phago means to engulf, cytes means the cell, engulfing the cell. Which cell? The pathogen, the microorganism cell, isn't it? So that is related to phagocytosis. Monocyte and neutrophils are phagocytes. They are doing phagocytosis. It is very important again, my dear children. Now illustration related to phagocytosis we can see here. The structure is again very important. You have to study it, my dear children, as it used to come in the question paper. Here you can see this is the illustration related to phagocytosis. Now what is happening? This is the cell structure, and here what is happening? When the pathogen enters into the cell, that time the pathogens are engulfed in the membrane sac. That is, this is the cell of monocyte or neutrophil. It is a cell of monocyte or neutrophil. Now when the wound takes place, that time when the germs enters the body, in that activity monocyte or neutrophil will be reaching there and they are doing this process. So this is the structure of a cell of monocyte, or we can say neutrophil. So in the cell of monocyte, what is happening there, or neutrophil, what is happening there? They are first engulfing, or we can say trapping the pathogen, isn't it? When pathogen reaches, that is when the monocyte reaches the pathogen, that time their membrane is getting deepened there. The sac, it is in the form of a sac like structure. So the membrane is acting as a sac like structure, so that they will be able to trap the germs. Now the pathogen, when it reaches near to the monocyte or neutrophil, that time the membrane of the monocyte or neutrophil, it is becoming or acting like a sac like structure, so that it can trap the pathogen into it. Later on what happens? We know that in each cell lysosome is present there, and we know what is the function of lysosome, isn't it? The lysosome will be combining with the membrane sac, isn't it? Lysosome combines with the membrane sac. Now in the next step what happens? The pathogens are degenerated and destroyed by the enzymes in the lysosome. So what is happening here? When lysosome combines with the membrane sac, which is in which the pathogen is present there, lysosome will be producing certain chemical substances, certain enzymes, and these enzymes will be destroying the pathogen. In this manner, phagocytosis is taking place. Understood, my dear children? This is very important. So first thing what happened? This is number 1, pathogen reaching the monocyte or neutrophil. Number 2 is engulfing the pathogen in the membrane sac. Number 3, lysosome combines with the membrane sac. And number 4, the pathogens are degenerated and destroyed by the enzymes present in the lysosome, isn't it? So this is how the phagocytosis is taking place. I think you would have understood about the phagocytosis. Now the next one is related to the blood clotting. We already studying about the blood. Now the next part is related to the blood clotting. It has been said that blood clotting is also a defense mechanism, and You can see here there are changes taking place during blood clotting, isn't it? And we can see the illustration 5.6 related to blood clotting, which is also a defense mechanism done by the body of an organism or a person. Here you can see again it is very important. It used to come in the question paper. Tissues and platelets at the site of wound degenerate to form the enzyme called thromboplastin. What is happening there? In the wound site, when the wound is taking place there, for example, a wound is taking place here, in this site, what happens? Tissues are present there, as well as we know that platelets which are present in the blood, they both are present there, isn't it? They will be degenerating. Why? Because totally they are damaged there. So when they will be getting damaged in the wound site, they will degenerate, and what they are forming there? They are forming the enzyme called thromboplastin. So tissues and platelets present in the wound site, in that area of that tissue, the area where the wound has taken place, that tissue, their presence, their platelets are present. So the tissues and the platelets which are present in the wound area will be degenerating, and they will be forming or producing a enzyme that is called thromboplastin. Now, what is the role of thromboplastin? We can see here in the plasma, prothrombin is present there. Prothrombin is an enzyme. So, in the plasma, blood plasma, prothrombin is present there, and it is converted to thrombin. So, for the conversion of prothrombin to thrombin, thromboplastin is needed there, and in the presence of calcium and vitamin K, this conversion is taking place. So, the first step is tissues and platelets, they are getting degenerated to form a substance called thromboplastin, and the role of thromboplastin is to convert prothrombin present in the plasma, in the blood, to thrombin. Understood? In the presence of calcium and vitamin K. Calcium and vitamin K is also playing an important role in the conversion of prothrombin to thrombin. It is very important. Now, what is the role of thrombin then? We have to see that. Now, thrombin, it is playing an important role in the conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin fibers. In the blood, fibrinogen is present there, and it is a protein which is soluble in water. That is, it will be dissolving very fastly, isn't it? So, it will not be able to stop the blood. So, that protein has to be converted to insoluble form, and this insoluble form is fibrin. So, fibrinogen is a protein, and the other form of fibrinogen is fibrin, and fibrin is an insoluble protein, fibrinogen is a soluble protein. So, for converting the soluble protein present in the blood into insoluble protein fibrin, thrombin is needed there. So, thrombin is playing an important role in the conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin, which are fibers, which are hair-like structures, which are filamentous, isn't it? And what is happening there? When the fibrin fibers are produced or formed there, RBC and platelets get entangled in the network of fibrin fibers to form the blood clot. So, how the blood is clotted there? The RBC as well as the platelets, they will be getting trapped in the fiber network of fibrin. In the network of fibrin, which is hair-like structure, which is thread-like structure, in that network, RBC and platelets will be getting trapped, and in this manner, after few seconds, what will happen? What used to happen? Blood clot is taking place there. So, my dear children, in this manner, blood clot is taking place when a blood oozes out or flow out through a minor wound also. So, this point 1, 2, 3, 4 point, these 4 points are very important, and blood clotting is one of the method in the defense mechanism of the body of a human being. I think you would have understood about it very nicely, my dear children. Okay. So, by this I am going to wind this session, and in the next session we will be studying about more and more strategies or the methods related to defense mechanism brought by the body. So, my dear children, till this topic you have to understand, study it nicely. I have already jotted there which is important, and already I have discussed the indicators also. I think it will be easier for you to write down the correct answer related to the indicator. So, jot the indicators in your file and always be on track. By saying this, I am winding this session. In the next session, we will be meeting again. Till then, take care.